Hello guys, welcome to another video of Writing with William. Today we're going to speak a little bit about how to write a 5-star blog post. Firstly, what is a blog post? It's simply a body of writing which is perhaps less formal than a newspaper article, for instance, and it can be on any particular topic you can imagine. Why do clients ask for this? Why do writers produce blog posts? Well, clients like blog posts because when people search into a particular topic, they like reading blogs about that particular topic. So it boosts traffic to clients' websites where they can sell their product or services to the person reading the blog post. Whoever reads that blog post is essentially a sales lead. It's a sales funnel to a client's products or services. So next time you read a blog post, remember, you're likely being sold something, and the person who wrote it is someone like me or you who wants to generate that sale for their clients. So blog posts are very important to clients, and you always have companies who are looking to write blog posts or to commission copywriters to write the blog posts for them. Why do you like them as a copywriter? Well, I just mentioned it. Unlimited demand of work through companies who want you to write the blog posts for them. Why? Because it generates leads for their products or services and it boosts traffic to their domain names, to their websites. So it's very important, especially in this digital age, that companies master the blog post and how to push their company through that medium. Also, as a copywriter, frankly, it's your bread and butter. If you can produce a good blog post, you know the system, you know the steps, and you can whack out really good sales lead funnel making blog posts time after time after time, 5-star, 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 then you'll never be out of work and you'll find that it's a great little earner for you and a great way, frankly, to improve your writing skills and to improve your ability as a copywriter to generate sales for your clients. So what are the stages then to producing a 5-star blog post? Well, let's start with number 1. The briefing. Now, this is when the client actually tells you what the hell you're going to be writing about. Like I said, you could be writing about any particular topic, any particular company in any particular industry. So clearly, obviously, you need to know what the hell you're writing about. So the client will give you the briefing. The good clients will give you a briefing. Remember that. And the briefing will tell you what you're writing about, what their services are all about, what their company is all about, and then you can do your research accordingly. Now, the briefing should be about 90% of what you need to at least produce that first draft for the client. However, do that extra 10% of research, do your homework, so you can fill in the gaps and produce some magic. The client will be surprised, pleasantly surprised, when you go above and beyond and integrate certain snippets or ideas or statistics which maybe they didn't even know about, but which really make their company look good to the person reading the blog post. So get the client briefing, read it, understand it, and then do the research around it to really make the first draft pop. Next, the introduction, number 2. You've started the writing, you've got the briefing, now the work begins. So the introduction, what are you introducing? You're introducing the broader topic. I wouldn't say necessarily you're introducing the product or service yet at this stage. Really, you're trying to get the person's attention who's reading the blog post. So really, this is all about setting the tone. Now, based on the client briefing, based on your research, based on your newfound knowledge of what the client does and the industry they operate in, you can set the tone effectively. If you're writing for an accountancy firm, it's probably going to be more formal in tone, although you can make it a bit more fun. If you're writing for, I don't know, a puppy food company, maybe you want it to be a bit more sweet and twee and cheerful, whatever it may be. You need to set the tone for the blog post, and it can be anything. It can be laid back, it could be engaging, it can be aggressive, it can be macho, or it can be really funny and it can just make the person who's reading it laugh. You need to just set the tone because the tone has to be consistent throughout the blog post. Now, once you've introduced the topic and you've set the tone for the blog post, for the rest of the blog post, you just need to get their attention. This is where the writing comes into play. This is when your magic comes in as a copywriter. AI can definitely produce writing, that's for sure, but you are the one as a copywriter who holds their attention. So get their attention and make sure they carry on reading through to the next step. Next, the main body of the blog post. So you've introduced the topic, you've set the tone, you've gotten their attention. Now you need to actually tell them what the hell they're reading about. So they know what the subject matter is, but who's the client, what they're offering, what product or service is related to the topic that you're speaking about. Introduce it and make sure also you introduce statistics. People are not scared of facts and figures if it is relevant and if it makes the company look good. You want your client to really shine in the main body of the blog post, and you do that by integrating the statistics which make them look good. David Ogilvy mentioned this. Watch my video previously about David Ogilvy, legendary copywriter. Anyway, he said that people are sold by statistics far more than you'd realize. It doesn't turn people off, quite the opposite, turns them on. So you need to include those statistics relating to the client, make them look good, and that is how you create an engaging main body and you hold their attention through to the conclusion of the blog post. Also in the main body, you need to make the tone consistent with the introduction. So, like I mentioned before, if it's laid back and funny and a kind of friendly blog post, don't deviate from that in the main body. Make it consistent, because the consistency is what makes it easy to read, and easy to read work means that they're going to read it all the way through. They're far more likely to do that, so make it consistent. The conclusion. So, you've introduced the topic, you've set the tone, they've been interested, they've read through to the main body, they enjoyed that, they read some interesting statistics which they really liked and didn't know existed, and now they're reading through to the conclusion. What happens here? It's the call to action. This is really why the client's paying you, because you want the person reading the blog post to take an actionable response to that blog post, whether it's signing up to a newsletter, whether it's buying a product, buying a service, or simply going onto the rest of the website to find out more about what the client has to offer. And how do you do that? How do you elicit that sort of reaction from the person reading the blog post? You need an emotional response. In the introduction, you are simply setting the scene, setting the tone, getting their attention. In the main body, you can include some statistics to make the client look good, and that impresses the person who's reading the blog post. But next, you want that emotional response from the person reading the blog post. Emotional responses are what drive sales for people. It's that impulsive instinct to act, to do something. That's what you need from the person reading the blog post. As a copywriter, I call it the smile test. You want the person reading the blog post to smile, or if not smile, have some sort of very human reaction to reading that blog post. And this is something AI can do okay, but something as a writer that you can do fantastically. You want them to smile, you want them to feel something, you want them to be able to be driven to take that next step. So in the conclusion, you're rounding everything off, but you're introducing that call to action. Generate that urgency, generate that constructive tension. Make sure that the person reading the blog post knows that if they don't do what you're telling them to do, they're missing out for one reason or another. So the conclusion, round it off, the call to action, get that emotional response, do the smile test, make sure they feel something at the end of it, because this is what generates sales for your client, and this is what helps you to get that 5-star rating. There you have it, guys. That's how you write a 5-star blog post. And what happens next after you do the conclusion? Well, it's the feedback stage, it's the editing stage. This is when you give it back to the client, that first draft, and then likely you'll go back and forth with the client to really get it into shape. Now, the article that I shared, the link in the description, that blog was on electric vehicle tax incentives in the States. I know nothing about electric vehicle tax incentives in the States, but that's why the client is hiring you, because you are the writer. They have the knowledge, but you have the writing skills. So give it to the client, let them add the things they need to add, make the suggestions they need to make, because their knowledge is really what's going to take it to that next level. There you have it, guys. How to write a 5-star blog post. Like I said, look in the description below. That's a 5-star blog post, one of my first ones I ever did. Still one of my favorite ones I ever did, partly because I didn't know what I was doing, but we got there in the end with it. And it's genuinely a good blog post and a great example of how to set the tone, do what the client wants, and to generate leads for them and then receive that 5-star rating. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.